Let's talk driving, and let's talk 5 most common mistakes with the driver that I see. So I've been coaching for nearly 30 years now. There's very common patterns that I see amateur golfers make with the driver compared to pros or great players or great drivers of the golf ball. So let's go through the 5 big mistakes that I see with the driver. First one is how they stand to the golf ball. What a lot of amateur golfers will do when they stand to the golf ball is they kind of know the ball needs to be more forward in the stance, and they try and move everything more forward. So the head, the forearms, the sternum, the chest, everything gets forward. And they end up in this kind of what I call pickle state, where the spine's twisted here, the hips move back, the forearms are in this kind of closed position. And from there, they're going, okay, let me hit my driver. And they kind of do exactly that, hit down and across the ball, either top it to the left or hit it with a big slice, the ball starting low like a missile and then rising and curving to the right. So we definitely want to stand in a better place. Follow this routine to do it consistently well. Stand tall, bend and bow, get the golf club behind the ball, about 6 to 8 inches behind the ball. Forearm down your trail leg onto the club, head behind the ball, bump your hips forward. From that start position then, make your normal golf swing as you're going to hit any other shot. But standing that way and having that routine will help you deliver the golf club from the inside more and hit up on the ball and give the best chance of hitting this low lofted club correctly. Fault number 2, the backswing, the pivot if you like. Generally because they've started this way, but let's presume they started correctly. When they swing back, because it's a longer club, maybe because they're trying to get power, the shoulders work on this really flat axis, really flat plane. So that basically means it's very hard to get the strike correct on the way down. And I see so many golfers hit the driver out the toe of the club. So when they come back to the golf ball, their chest is further away and the ball comes out the toe end of the club and it starts massively to the right. Sometimes it'll draw back with the gear effect of the club helping them out if it's slightly in the toe, but nearly all amateur golfers are in a taller state or out of posture with a driver compared to what they would be with the iron, and certainly compared to elite golfers. We want to see you try and stay in your posture more in the backswing, and point number 3 would be and the downswing. So we want to feel like our chest is almost getting nearer to the golf ball rather than further away. And the more we can get nearer to the golf ball, the better. So what I encourage you to do to feel this is put the club across your chest, work it down to the ground as low as you can in the backswing, then work the grip end down to the ground as low as you can in the downswing. So the more we can feel that we're almost tilting over and getting our chest to the ground as much as we can is the feel we want. Then there's an exercise, if you grip the golf club right down the club, right down the bottom of the club here, and try and hit some small drivers, trying to stay in that posture shape as long as you can in both the backswing and the downswing. Don't worry too much about the strike or the flight. You're just really trying to stay in that bent over condition. So that would be point number 2 and 3, because we want to stay in posture in the backswing and downswing, and both help each other. The more we do it in the backswing, the more it helps the downswing also. The next thing I want to talk about is what I call landing the plane. So too many golfers tend to hit down the ball too much, and hitting up on the ball is free distance. You know, the difference at 90 mile an hour hitting up on the ball compared to down is 10 to 15% of the distance you would achieve with the same speed. So it's kind of ridiculous not to try and do this to create that free speed. What I've got here is a tee in the ground set back and behind the golf ball. And what the idea here is really we want to try and almost skim that tee, or even take that tee out if you wanted to, whilst you're hitting drives. To feel like we're landing the club behind the ball, so our low points before the ball, and also from the inside. So just the visual of having the tee there, or we can have a dot on the ground, or even place the tee on the teeing ground with a divot behind the ball if you wanted to cheat that way. It's not cheating, but it's a visual cheat for your eyes if you like. We could use this on the driving range and again, take this straight to the course. So have that tee peg there and try and just feel, okay, can I land my club at that location in terms of depth? We don't want it traveling too steeply down. We want it getting low to the ground and then taking off from that inside angle. So just that visual, set up to the golf ball. Again, feel all the things in the setup are still where we want them to be. Now land that club And hit bomby draws for days. The last thing I want to talk to you about is more conceptual. So I watch people off the first tee. I watch people, even when I'm filming here, tee off. You see too many people that guide the ball, steer the ball. And even, you know, myself, when I played first in professional tournaments at tight courses, you get there and you think, oh God, that's a bit narrow down there. So you try and place the ball down the fairway. The more we can swing it with a bit of, let's call it aggression or flow or rhythm, the better we become. So we need to almost feel like we're hitting the ball with that pace and acceleration rather than steering the ball. Ultimately, don't try and steer drives, or don't try and steer any clubs really, but try and hit things with purpose and aggression, and that'll guarantee that we have more natural positions in our golf swing. And I liken this quite often, if you like this analogy, to kind of running. If you sprint, you don't think about your breathing, your foot placement, your arm movement, you just go for it. If you go for a slow jog, you're very much thinking of how you're placing your feet, your breathing, your rhythm, you're aware of everything around you, you're aware of your technique. So again, if we're trying to be very much position perfect, going slow helps. If we're trying to be more natural and recruit the muscles in a more organic way, then going fast and trying to bomb our drives is really what we want. So here we go, let's round that up. So we've got standing to the ball correctly, staying in our posture in our backswing, staying in our posture or even decreasing that posture in the way down, hitting the ball from the inside and landing the club so we almost hit it heavy. And then lastly, the concept of making sure we're a bit more aggressive, almost like long drive but in balance, to try and find the fairway more often than not. Be aggressive, be confident, be purposeful, and hit more fairways and lower the score.